Hey, what's up, everyone? Good morning, and welcome back to another edition of the show. It's episode 340, and it is August 12th, 2022. We're in the fourth quarter. We're in the fourth quarter already. Seems like it just started, but I'm excited about today's show and today's guest. She's no stranger to success. She was a gold medalist just less than a month ago at the World Championships, 53 kilograms. It's Dominique Parrish. Let's bring her on. Dom, thanks for joining us today from not as hot Phoenix, Arizona. But how's everything going with you today?
Hey Peter, yeah, it's good. Just woke up. Nice to be on the show.
Yeah. Are you like, you just woke up? Are you like getting a little bit of time to, I don't know, a break, or at least not, like a lesser intensity of training? Like what's it been like since the World Championships?
So after the World Championships, I went on vacation with my family and my boyfriend for a bit, and then came back. Was absolutely so lazy for the first week back, and then last week was just too bored. I don't have anything else to do, so I went into practice and was just rolling around. But yeah, practice has just been like drilling, working on new stuff. So just fun. Audrey Jimenez was up at the beginning of this week, so her and I
Yeah.
were playing around, and she's fast and she's a fun partner.
Heck yeah. Where'd you go on vacation?
I stayed in Croatia, or sorry, Serbia for a couple days. Went to Croatia, stayed in a tree house, and then went like way up in the Alps of Slovenia.
Treehouse. Go back. Let's back up a second. You're like,
Yeah.
you just skipped over that. Like, yeah, I went to Croatia, stayed in a treehouse. Is this like, I guess just give me, this is a house. It's not like a kid's tree house, right? With the tent.
No.
Assume there's electricity or plumbing.
Yeah. It was like they took one of the big like storage containers and just like put it like in the air. But
Okay.
it was pretty bougie. Yeah, it was nice. There was a jacuzzi.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I kind of want to go stay in a tree house now.
I feel like nobody ever stays in tree houses, but they're pretty fun. Art Martori has one up in Flagstaff, connected to his cabin, and it's way nicer than my house here, his treehouse. But that was the second treehouse I've ever stayed in. I stayed in one in Oregon one time by myself, but that one was a little bit sketchy.
What was sketchy about it?
It was just in this person's backyard, but it was like a full size like treehouse. It had like beds and everything in it, but there was no like electricity besides like a cable like strip. And then there wasn't really like a lock on the door. There was just a latch. I was sending Snapchats to all my friends, and they were like, "You're gonna get murdered," because I was by myself. I was like, I think I'm good." And then it got dark. And I was like, "Okay, I'd like see what you're saying." So I was trying to like booby rig the doors so something would make noise when I came in, or if someone came in.
Were you just like out hanging out in Oregon by yourself? Is that why you're in this tree house by yourself?
I was driving up to Vancouver and I needed to stop in between, and I was looking on Airbnb for a place to stay, and this like treehouse was like $60 for the night, and I'm like, that looks pretty cool. So I was like, I like tree houses, let's try it out.
So how do you get up? Whether it was the one in Oregon or this one over in Croatia, like when I think of a tree house, I think of like two by fours hammered to the tree like consecutively to form like a ladder or even like a rope drop down ladder. But how'd you get up
Yeah.
in the tree? Is that how you got up?
The first one had like a like almost like a vertical staircase. So you just kind of had to climb it like a ladder. And
Uh
then
huh.
the last one we stayed in Croatia had like a full like staircase up to it.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Well, if I ever get the opportunity, I'm gonna stay in a tree house
If you
and
just
I'll.
go on Airbnb and you look on like cool like there's like filters you can choose like a cool style house, and it'll just show you all the random like Airbnbs that aren't just like a regular like room.
I feel like I've seen like when you just go to Airbnb, I've seen those types of things. I don't know if I've seen a treehouse
Yeah.
necessarily, but maybe like a container or a small. They call them. There's a better word for it, but a small house, tiny house. I think they
Yeah.
call it actually. So okay, that the treehouse talk. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Maybe we should talk some wrestling while we're here too. I want to know a little more about your story. Like you're from California, from Santa Cruz. You were telling me. How did you get introduced to wrestling? How old were you? What did you think of it from the start?
Okay, so my first introduction to wrestling, my dad wrestled a bit in like high school, junior college, and then coached like a couple high school teams when he was younger. My sister actually went and wrestled at like the kids league finals when we were little, and she got the crap kicked out of her. I remember watching her and being like, she kicks crap out of me. I don't really want to do that. And then in middle school, they had a demonstration in our PE class. The coach came in and was like showing wrestling moves, and everybody was trying out some stuff like on the mats, and they were passing around like a clipboard, and my friend like wrote down my name and number, and I thought I was going to get in trouble if I didn't go to practice. So I went and I liked it, and my dad had wrestled and coached, so he was very supportive, and just kind of went off from there. I had great coaches, and always had a girls team. So it's strange to me, like when these other like states don't even have like a sanctioned program, or like, because California already had a state tournament. I had girls on my team, like from middle school to high school. And I feel like I was pretty lucky to be in the situation that I was in.
Yeah. So you only went because your friend signed you up and you were afraid you'd get in trouble if you didn't go.
Yeah.
But you went and you liked it. And
Yeah.
you were afraid before because your sister got her butt kicked and she used to kick your butt. What did you like about it? And what brought you back a second time and a third time and here we are.
I mean, I feel like I was a bit of a tomboy, so I liked roughhousing. It was fun to go in and have like almost like structured like roughhousing. No one's gonna get too aggressive and hurt you.
Uh-huh.
My middle school coach, his name's Wasim, like great family friend now. Like I feel like he just like tired all the kids out. So it was fun to go in and just kind of like run around and get to wrestle with some kids in a safe environment. I feel like
Uh-huh.
he made it really fun. So
Sure.
all my friends were there too.
So it was like a social thing as much as a roughhousing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Considering you maybe were a tomboy or more so, or that you liked roughhousing, did you take to it? Were you kind of good? Did you have a knack for the physicality?
I feel like that was another reason why I also stuck with it. I think people were telling me I was pretty good, like like so quick off the bat. I was like, you like doing stuff that you're good at. So I just was in there and rolling around. I don't I don't remember going in and like getting my butt kicked and being like, this isn't any fun.
Yeah, that would discourage a lot of people. And it's I really admire the stories we hear. People like, I got my ass kicked for 2 years. I didn't win any
Yeah.
matches, and here they are doing whatever they're doing. I'm like, how did you stick around?
Yeah. I feel like that's Helen's story. You know, she went in and like got the crap kicked out of her, and her mom was like, if you win this match, like you can stay, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
kudos to her. Um,
Hmm.
and this was what, junior high or middle school?
Yeah, middle school.
So when you get to high school, like, did you know about the state tournament and wanting to qualify or medal or win it?
Yeah, so we had some older girls that were already on the high school team when I got to high school, and they had been going and like placing at the state tournament. So I feel like that was the goal, like very early on, that you would qualify and then go to state. And it was almost just the expectation that you would do that. So it was a really cool environment to be in, just like a lot of like supportive, like older role models.
Yeah, that's fantastic. How many girls were on your high school team? Like, was it a full lineup or 30 or
I think we had like 15 at one point. I think my maybe junior, sophomore year, sophomore, junior. We won like our sectional tournament.
okay? That's
So
pretty
we had like quite a few girls that were doing pretty well.
okay. What was your style? Your style of wrestling, the way you wrestle. Was it as you got in and maybe started having a little success when you were younger and in the high school? Like, was your style similar to what it is today, or is it totally different?
I'd like to think I'm a little bit slicker now, but I think like the first couple of years it was just like be as aggressive as possible and try to be offensive and get the first takedown. I don't think my defense has always been as good as it is now, but um, definitely like getting older and like learning the finesse of setting like traps with your hand fight and like getting into your shots, disguising your attacks.
Y-
Um, I don't remember too much. I feel like when I think of my middle school wrestling, it was just like chaos. Just like go in and like do a bunch of stuff and like hope to land on top.
Chaos. I love that. Um, How did your high school career kind of unfold? Right, you had these high expectations, and you were in this environment
Hmm.
that was maybe bred for success. So, what kind of success did you see in high school?
I went to state all 4 years. I won my sectional tournament twice, I think, and then I won state twice.
Okay,
And then my junior, senior year, started going to a bunch of freestyle tournaments. Got third at Body Bar my junior year, I think, and senior year, or actually just my senior year. But went to Fargo, won my junior year, got third my senior year. Um, yeah, I feel like I was pretty successful. I
yeah,
wish I'd done more of the cadet, like Vila cadet stuff.
yeah. How did your eyes get opened up to the freestyle scene and Fargo and some of these bigger because you're having success in your local and then you're having success at the state. How did you was it a high school coach? Was it a club coach that kind of said, "Hey, there's this whole other world here in this next level"?
Yeah, it was a bunch of my like friends from other schools going to like these freestyle tournaments. I was like, where are they going and competing? And then my dad looked it up and saw that they were going to like Fargo and Body Bar, and he was like, "Do you want to go?" He's always been like very supportive, um, and yeah, so I he just kind of paid for it, and I like went my junior senior year. Honestly, I saw the cool gear they were getting at one point. I was like, I want that cool gear. I'm like, where are they getting that?
It's like different modes of motivation for different people, but
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how it
yeah,
gets you there as long as it gets you there.
yeah. I'm like, I
What
got a cool jacket and some experience, I would say.
did you do any of the gear bartering out there at the black market at Fargo?
No, but actually someone told me recently at a camp that I convinced them not to trade their gear at the gear bartering. And I was like, I have no recollection of that. Like, why would you listen to me? She's like, yeah, you said when you're older you're gonna give like your California state gear to like your kids. And I just was like, I was like, I have no idea if I said that, but I was like, my bad, don't listen to me.
Please, on with the trading.
Yeah, on with the trading.
Do you still have any of that gear?
I have most of it, I think. Some of it I've given to my high school coach's or my high school club coach's daughter because she started to get into wrestling. I'm like, I have like all this California like team gear I'm not using. It would be cool to get like some second use out of it. But I kept
Sure.
a couple things.
Whether or not you said to your friend, keep the gear because maybe one day you'll give it to your kids or whatever it is, would that version of you have believed that you'd have gone on to have like world championship gear at the senior level, let alone a gold medal? Like, was that on your radar or even something that you thought about or potentially believed in?
Uh I honestly I don't think so. I
Yeah.
feel like my like the end of high school, I was unsure if I was gonna wrestle in college or not. Just wasn't sure if I liked it enough or if I wanted to go to like any of the colleges that were offering women's wrestling because I feel like when I started looking, the options were like pretty sparse.
What kind of options were there? Like, did you get recruited? Was there What was
I
that
got
process like?
recruited. I got recruited a little bit. There was King out, well, there's still King out in
Yeah.
Tennessee, Campbellsville in Kentucky. Menlo is the only like one in California, and they were recruiting. Um, what else? McKendree was still like a powerhouse back then, and they were recruiting as well. My dad just kind of stumbled upon SFU on like one of these like women's wrestling sites, and it was just like a single dot. It was like this map, and there was all the wrestling schools, and then just this dot like way up north. Just nobody. I feel like nobody talked about it. Everybody was talking about King or McKendree or Menlo.
It's in Canada, right?
Yeah, it's in Vancouver.
Like, had you ever been to Canada? What were your thoughts on like? Because it's to your point. It's like this dot that's way out in the middle. Is that above? That's in Canada. Like,
Yeah,
how
I was
did
like, can
that?
I go to school there?
Am
Like,
I
am I allowed?
allowed?
Yeah. Honestly, my dad like found it and was like, I put in an application for you. I feel like he definitely was the driving force, like me going to SFU because, like I said, I wasn't sure like if I was going to wrestle in college, and um, he started emailing the coach Mike Jones, who's like this older guy. He's like pretty chill, but he's like definitely experienced and a great coach. Like Helen went there, Vicky went there, Danielle Lepage, Justina DeStacio went there. But like again, nobody was talking about it. They don't go to like the high school tournaments and recruit like the other coaches do. Um, yeah, I definitely was super nervous going up and visiting, and we went up in maybe May, which is still like definitely the rainy season for them. And it was all gray. And I was up there and I was just like, I don't know, like if I can live here. It's raining and it's cloudy and like kind of depressing. And after going to Fargo my senior year, I just like hadn't committed anywhere. And Mike Jones sent me an email and he was just like, so can I tell people you're coming here? And I was like, I mean, I guess I'm coming there. And like that was how I committed.
So you didn't even know whether or not you wanted to wrestle in college at this point. Is that fair to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah. I
That's
feel
like
like
what a tactic. Can I tell people you're coming? I can tell them you're coming, right? You're coming?
he was like when I went up on my recruiting trip, he was so like almost the opposite of recruiting. He was like unrecruiting me, where he was just like, um, he was like, you can come here if you want. Like, we probably can't give you like a lot of scholarship. He's like, you might be better off like going to another school. Like, they'll probably pay you like or like give you more money. And he was like, you probably have a bunch of questions that like you don't even know. So he's like, you can just like shoot me an email if you want. He was so chill. Took me into the room, just let me get like my ass beat by all these like college girls. Mallory Velt was there. I wrestled with her my first practice. She just destroyed me. Remember leaving, being like, I don't know, like if I can go to this school. But that's always the step, right? Like high school to college, like
Yeah.
you go in and you get your ass kicked for a bit and then you learn or you quit.
That's you nailed it. It's almost like it was like reverse psychology. Like, I don't know if you want to do this, and
Yeah.
I've never
I
heard of
feel
that
like that was
tactic.
just his coaching style too. I feel like he'd be like, either you're gonna get better or you're gonna quit. He's like, I'm okay with either.
This is such a unique situation. Like, had you decided you wanted to wrestle in college, or was it really not until he said, "Can I tell people you're coming here?" That you're like, I guess I A am gonna wrestle in college, and B I going to Canada.
Yeah, I feel like at that point he sent that email and I kind of was thinking about it and I was like, I'd applied to schools that like weren't that didn't have wrestling programs just to like go to school.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't really see myself like at those schools. I was like, I didn't really know if I saw myself at SFU, but I was like, I don't know if there's a better option, so like might as well go try it out.
What schools without wrestling were you
I
looking at
applied to
or
San
applying
Jose
to?
State and like UCSC, a bunch of schools in like California.
But you're like, nah, I want to wrestle. So
I think the difficult for me thing for me is like I was a homebody in high school and like definitely was worried that I was gonna get homesick, like going away and not being able to come back. That was a big thing for me and like King, where I was like, I don't think I'll be able to go home very often. But SFU is like or like Vancouver's like a 2 hour flight.
uh huh.
So I feel like that was a positive for me.
At what point did you know you made the right decision?
Um, honestly, I think my sophomore year, freshman year is always rough,
Uh,
and I actually like competed at nationals my freshman year and just kind of went in and rolled around. Sophomore year, I feel like I was more in the groove, like definitely comfortable with the team. Made friends and like was cemented. I feel like you hear things from like other schools where like your friends go and they tell you they're like, oh, like it kind of sucks here, and you're like, oh, well, it kind of sucks here too, but like not as bad.
did it
You're like, we don't have those problems, but we have other problems.
like what?
I feel like SFU is pretty challenging academically.
Okay.
So like
Oh,
the
so good.
wrestling's hard and like we would go in and like obviously brawl. I feel like the room was very competitive, but then you would go out and just really have to be like diligent with your schoolwork, which is difficult when you're on the road all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did your college career kind of play out?
I All American all 4 years. Got third my first year, second my sophomore year, and then first my last 2 years, and didn't redshirt and just went out.
3-2-1-1.
Hmm.
That's really good. Did you have any idea coming into college that that's like a really good, college career? Did you have any idea coming into college? Did you have those kind of goals or expectations for yourself, or was it not till you kind of got into the season you're like, yeah, no, I'm doing pretty well?
Definitely not. I feel like you've asked me a couple times like if I had these like perceived like expectations for myself, and
Yeah,
looking back, I'm like I feel like I went in with almost like no expectations, which is kind of strange.
yeah.
Um, but my first couple months at SFU were like pretty tough. Yeah, like academically and wrestling wise, like just getting my ass kicked by like a lot of the older girls in the room. I remember calling my dad at one point. I was like, I don't know if I actually know how to wrestle. I was like, these girls are just destroying me. And he was just like, it's okay. Like, keep going in. Um, but I feel like, again, yeah, either you figure it out and like find ways to get better, or you just quit.
Well, you clearly figured out figured out ways to get better. So these are kind of the similar questions, just at different points in your career, right? At what point
Yeah.
now did you think you're like, oh, I'll finish college and then just get a job, or at what point did you say, maybe I will, pursue world and Olympic dreams?
Hmm. I feel like it wasn't even like when I was done with my college eligibility, I was still up in SFU, just like training as an RTC athlete out of the Burnaby Mountain Wrestling Club. And then COVID hit. So I did like 1 year, went to 2019 Nationals, won, and was like going into the like Olympic trials, feeling pretty good. And then COVID hit, everything was down for like over a year. Training in Vancouver was like pretty difficult, but like I feel like we made it work, and then went to Olympic trials. And I feel like after Olympic trials was when I was not sure if I was going to keep wrestling or not. And
Really?
then Kayla, like, yeah, because I feel like in my perspective, from my perspective, I had done everything right. But looking back, I'm like the training situation, although like the coaches did a great job to like make sure that we had access to a gym, even though like in Vancouver we weren't allowed to be in gyms, like training. But we went in a boxing gym with like cardboard taped over the windows,
So nobody see
and
you.
just like made it happen, a little back alley wrestling.
I love it.
Um, but yeah, I feel like looking back, I'm just like, yeah, like it felt like I was doing everything right, just because I was like, like we were persevering through the situation.
Yeah.
But like comparing it to how I got ready for like Worlds this year, I'm like, it's not the same.
You did everything you did everything you thought you could, or what you were
Yeah,
aware of, right? Because Canada was like
yeah,
worse than here. They were pretty strict on
yeah,
COVID, right? So you're like
yeah.
taping up cardboard boxes. Um, and obviously you've since moved to Phoenix. You're training with the Sunkissed Kids with Kayla
Hmm.
and Forrest and Helen and Mark Perry's coaching out y'all, and there's a bunch more. But tell me about that transition, and did you come down and just train with Kayla once or twice, and then figured out a way to move down there?
Yeah, so they were in Iowa before.
Right.
Kayla actually was trying to convince me to come out to Iowa before COVID hit in like 2019. I went and visited in like January. I was like, I don't know if this is the place either. It was really cold, and I was like, I don't
Yeah.
think I can do this kind of cold. And then yeah, COVID hit, and they moved down to Phoenix, and I saw Kayla like at Olympic trials, and she'd been like texting me like oh, like we're down in Phoenix, like you should come down to visit and train. And I was like, yeah, like COVID, like we're in a pandemic. I'm probably not coming down to Phoenix. And then after Olympic trials, it really was, do I go back to Canada and like keep doing what I've been doing, or like go back to Canada and get a job? Or do I move somewhere else? And I've been talking with her, and she's like, you got to come down and check it out. And Kim,
Artori.
Martori called me and was like, hey, like, I think you would do really well, like an RTC down in Phoenix. I think you should consider moving. And yeah, talking to Mark Perry at some of the national team camps, like right after Olympic trials, they were like, yeah, come down. So I don't know. I just packed up my stuff and moved down to to Phoenix in July, right before the Olympics, and got like helped get Kayla ready for the Olympics.
That's a drastic move from gray and overcast cloudy Vancouver to always sunny and hot in July.
Yeah,
Arizona. Tell me about that training environment with these elite women and this elite coaching.
yeah. The coaching is obviously like a huge part of like the RTC down here. Like anyone who's talked to Perry knows that like he sees every detail, like in every wrestling match, just like the small stuff that nobody else would notice.
Uh-huh.
So it's really been interesting having him like as a personal coach and having him do that to my wrestling. I've never really had anyone say like, "Hey, like you're really good." Like this was the first thing we worked on. He was like, "Your attacks are good, and like your set up, like your hand fighting's pretty good, but you get on the leg and you stop." So he's like, "We're just going to practice like getting in and then like working on getting rid of that pause." He's like, "We'll go slow, and then like you'll just get the reps in and start speeding it up." And I feel like that helped me gain so much confidence in my shot because I'm like, if I get in, like I can finish like in any position.
Heck yeah.
And that was just a different aspect of coaching that I had never experienced. That like personalized coaching.
That's
Because
fantastic.
coming from like a college room, they're like, okay, like this is what everybody's working on, so this is what everybody's gonna do.
So like the ratio somewhat, right? Instead of 1 to 20 or 30, it's like 1 to
Yeah,
sometimes 2 if you're doing an individual workout or you
yeah.
know,
But
yeah.
I think sometimes coaches are like, we're gonna add like moves to your repertoire, and like maybe that'll be better. But I feel like he took stuff that I already was good at and just like slowed it down and made me like work on perfecting it, or like some aspect of my wrestling. We focus a lot on like my position and just making sure like I stay low, like in my stance the whole time, which is difficult. Anyone who's been in a wrestling stance knows that like 6 minutes in your stance is pretty uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
And we would just do like a lot of shadow wrestling at practice where he would call out stuff and like, yeah, do shots and down blocks and sprawls and just stay in like practice being in our stance and moving.
And I love that, right? And I hear this a lot more when you talk to elite athletes like yourself. It's not about learning moves. You know the move. We all know a single leg or a
Mm-hmm.
sprawl or a cradle or gut wrench, and you name it. It's the just wrestling, right? Or the
Mm-hmm.
transitions, or the right you get to the leg, finish instead of like get to the leg, wait, finish. So I think that's really cool, especially to hear that from you and the progression and how you learned and how you've kind of evolved. Um,
Yeah.
and we were talking off or just before this. Like I came down, I don't know, before Final X, and we're talking with Mark, and we were doing like promos with a couple of the ladies. But Mark kept talking about you, right? And you hadn't had all this success yet, though you had at the college level, but you hadn't had any international. You hadn't been on a world team yet. But he's like,
Mm-hmm.
Dom Parrish, Bader, I'm telling you, she's a killer, dude. She's getting so good. She's gonna kill. She's gonna murder. And a lot of times you hear people talk about their athletes, and it's good for them to have confidence in their athletes. And Mark's a different guy, so when he says that, you do listen.
Mm-hmm.
When did you feel that difference and feel that you were on a different level?
Um, I feel like it goes back to like looking at my training partners too and like coming in here and like wrestling with these girls. Like everyone I have to practice with is like a world class athlete. There's no one I can come in and beat the crap out of whenever I want. Um, I feel like I gained so much confidence from coming in and like wrestling with these girls who, like, when I first moved down here, were kicking my ass. And then just feeling that I had like more control in the match and maybe the matches were just like a little bit more difficult. Um, and then I feel like they're all like very like verbally like positive with me. And like they were all telling me that like my shots are getting so much better and that like I just need to like just go and like believe that I'm going to finish it. I feel like Kayla's been one of my number one fans for a long time and just like telling me how good I could be. Same with Perry, like moving down here, I feel like he and Kayla and Helen and Forrest and Maya were all people in my ear saying like, you could be like, you're good. Like you can do this like pretty early on in January. And I feel like that just, made me feel so confident in the room.
It's easy to have a goal to do X, Y, or Z. It's harder to believe that wanting to do something and believing you'll do something are different. Clearly, Um, I want to be a billionaire. I don't think I'm gonna be a billionaire, but maybe one day. But when did you believe I can win a world title? I can do this.
Yeah, I think honestly after my tournament in Istanbul, I think I journal quite a bit now, like since like for like a year I've been journaling quite a bit. And I think that was the first time I wrote it down in my journal where I was like, hey, like I could be a world champ. I was like, everybody's been telling me, and I've kind of been like, yeah, like that's cool. I'm like, I feel like everybody says that to everyone. And then like they're them telling it and me like going to this tournament and feeling like I wrestled like pretty good. And I was writing out, I'm like, hey, like maybe my goal should be like be a world champ.
Uh-huh.
So like pretty recent. Again, I
Okay.
feel like I go into these situations with like no expectations. I don't think I had any expectations when I moved down here.
Okay, now walking, you go to Final X, you win, you're on the world team, you go to Serbia, you're there. Like walking into that tournament, was that a different sense of confidence than even walking into Istanbul? If Istanbul showed you that you were good enough, did you walk into Serbia thinking you were gonna win? Like really, really believing it?
I don't know if I really believed it, but I felt like I was very confident I was going to medal,
Okay.
especially after I think my second match. I felt really good. I think my weight cut went super smooth. I feel like that's always like going into the tournament, like the 2 weeks out, you're nervous about like making sure that you're ready. Like then the 2 weeks like coming in, you're worried that you're gonna make weight. And
Uh-huh.
then like you weigh in, you drink, and you I just felt ready to go, like after my
Fantastic.
rehydration.
Yeah. Um, I'd like to watch this gold medal match, and hear your take. You can walk us through it. You can tell us what you're thinking. You can do play by play. I don't know, but we'll just kind of let this thing roll, Tyler, and
Yeah.
check this out. What did you know?
Fourth weight class
I'm guessing
of
Mark
women's
probably scouted
freestyle.
her and maybe told you some things, maybe not.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes the stuff that Perry tells me about these other girls is like if he said it to them, it would sound like bullying. But he's like, this girl is not strong. She's very weak. You can bully her, like go in and just like and dominate. And we had the same game plan for every match, which was like circle to the back foot, get my head in position. Um, this the Mongolians do a lot of funky throws. There you can see like she's getting trying to get this 2-on-1 and do that trip.
Yep.
Um, he
There's that
basically was
drag.
just he told me to stay on the hands and work my hand fighting. I've been working on drags quite a bit,
That was so
so
awesome.
I feel like my goal like off the whistle is to get my head like in position, my like forehead and their temple,
Uh
and
huh.
like try to like keep circling to that side. This girl was really sticky though. I remember she was just grabbing my yeah, like she was grabbing me and like pulling me in.
Yeah. This was like 10. Oh, like 10 in the morning or something here, and we're like in the office, and there's a bunch of other people from different sports and tech people, all kinds of people in our office, and we're just like sitting there watching this, yelling, and like, what the hell is going on over there? It was fun, especially
Yeah.
that drag double, like right off the bat. It just totally set the tone. Did you feel like
Mm-hmm.
it like set the tone?
It did. I honestly thought I got four, and then when I stood up and I saw two, it's like always that moment where you're like two, and you're like, okay, like I'm like, there's no point in challenging it. I was like, I'm pretty happy for two. I'll keep that block for later.
Yeah.
Or it's like if you get a takedown and turn, and then they just call the turn,
Yeah. Like, hey, wait, I did both.
you're like, I thought I did both, but I guess not.
What? And you
Yeah, this
tried
girl
that drag
had
again?
weird.
Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say this girl kind of had weird hips where I felt like I could get in, but like I felt like I could knee pick, but at the same time, um, I like went for it a couple times and just didn't really feel safe. So like I'm gonna try to tire her out. I feel like sometimes that's my strategy going into a match where I'm like, if I could get it a couple points up and then just tire them out, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah. And those are like those safe shots, right? You're not like getting caught underneath. You're pretty in, and if you're in, blow through it, and if not, you back out, which was
Yeah.
pretty
I think
wise.
at this point, Perry was yelling at me to get another one.
Uh
And
huh.
I was like, maybe if it's there, we'll see.
No need to force anything. And really, that's her first significant attack.
Yeah.
Looks like you're pretty aware to stay grounded.
Yeah. We had a rules clinic at our camp in Pennsylvania, and they went over like all the new rules for like push out, and they told us like if you drop to your knees in like a shot defense, like inside the blue and not in the orange, like then they're gonna call it a grounding. But if you drop in the orange, that's 1 point for the offensive person usually.
For a step out.
Yeah. Either
Interesting.
step out or fleeing, I think maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Some of the rule changes this year were interesting.
I feel like
Where
they're always like that.
they were talking about step out. Yeah, a lot of the step out rules were weird. Where they were like, if you turn away and it looks like you're fleeing, like they'll call it. But I'm like, sometimes like you have to turn away and like you're giving up the 2, but you're like not giving up the 4.
Sure. And they'll go a caution there.
Yeah.
Um, so do you remember kind of anything Mark's telling you at the break here?
I think he was just telling me that I could score more and that I should go for it.
Yeah.
Another thing I've been working on, like in Arizona, was like my patience with my shot. I feel like he went back and watched a lot of my films, and he's like, you get taken down off your shot all the time. Like people will shoot in and like take you down, but it's more so people countering your shot because you're just like rapid firing.
Be more selective.
So being a little more stingy with my shots. But then on the opposite side, I feel like I'm sometimes too stingy, and they're like, no, that was right there. And I'm like, I don't know.
So does this change I don't know if momentum is the right word, but you look like you're in control. You controlled most of the match and you had the only takedown. Now I think it was her second attack. She scores.
Yeah, I think she shot in, and I was like, fuck. But at the same time, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable like coming from a deficit. Like I did that in all my matches at Pan Am's.
Okay.
I think for me, it's easier to be offensive than it is to be like defensive. I think if she hadn't gotten this takedown, I might have spent the whole match, like the rest of the match, like trying to stall out.
Sure. And then I think she got a little over aggressive there and tried to,
Yeah.
one of those like tricky throws you were talking about, right? Like the
Yeah.
Mongolians. That seemed like one of those she was trying.
Yeah. Perry had also warned me about her top move, which is basically she grabs like above the knees, like on the thighs, and she kind of like flips you. So he was like, as soon as she gets there, just like grab her hand and peel it off.
Smart. Do you feel like you're still,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like the rest of the match, I was just like, I'm going to just stay in position and like keep my head in her ear. But then it's always nice to take a shot and hang on and just run out the clock for a bit, because then it seems like you're being offensive.
Well, there's no way to say she's being defensive, even though everybody who knows about wrestling is like, yeah, maybe she's trying to eat clock, but you can't say she's being defensive because she's on a leg.
Yeah.
Tactical, I would say, more than anything.
This is my first time watching this match.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you typically?
So I'm like, I don't really remember what happens for the last 45 seconds, but I think I just stall my ass off.
You're so honest. I love it.
Perry's been working on like for us, especially like Tuesdays we'll break down a match into like period, like different time period goes, and always like the last like 2 minutes and like 45 seconds he's telling us to like keep being offensive, because I feel like at some point when you're up in a match it's so easy to switch.
Yep.
Where you're like, all right, like I'm not going to attack anymore, I'm just going to be defensive, and that's usually when people score. Whereas if you just like keep wrestling, usually things work out.
Do you remember what you felt or thought here?
Yeah, I feel like the time ran out and she grabbed my legs and I just was like, what the fuck just happened? It was
I
it was
love it.
so surreal. It was crazy.
This is your
God, I'm
thing. Shooting the
obnoxious.
guns. No, it's not
Helen was like,
obnoxious.
why did you bend over there? It looked like you were gonna take a shit on the mat. And I was like, I don't know. I was tired, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it, Dom. This is your thing, right? Is it a six?
Yeah,
Are you shooting pistols? You shoot
shooting
number one?
pistols.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't really know how that came around. I feel like Kayla has her thumbs up, and we were at Pan Am's, and I was like, finger guns seem pretty cool. I can make that my thing.
And so like Tamara's got the heart, Adelon's got the
Yeah,
double wave, you've got the pistols.
I got the pistols. Yeah, Taylor Miller gave me the nickname Dom Pistol Parrish, which I kind of like because it kind of sounds like I'm a lot of trouble, but I think I'm pretty easy.
Well, you trouble on the mat.
I think yeah, I'm trouble on the map, but in real life, I'm pretty chill. I'm straight
Yeah.
edge,
Yeah, yeah. But
or
like I
I
dig it.
listen at least.
Dom Pistol Parish. Man, had you ever like pictured yourself running around the mat with the flag? Had you done that like
Actually, yeah, I had. It was strange because people have asked me like if I had like visualized that moment, and I had. But honestly, I think just like running around the mat with the flag.
not the
I
match
remember watching
part?
it in 2019 at the Worlds, and I was like, "Damn, that's sick!" Like, and just like imagined like myself doing it.
Uh-huh. There it is.
Damn, I'm jacked. Look at me.
You are jacked. You're a freaking world champ.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
After that match, Perry said to me, he's like, "You're a world champ for life," and I was like, "I've never thought about it that way," and that's pretty cool.
can't take it away.
Yeah.
And really just, potentially just getting started, right? What are you
Hmm.
you're already 20, 24, something like that?
I'm 25.
25. Man,
Yeah.
if
I'm
you
right in the
want,
thick
you
of
got
it.
years off it.
It's
What?
interesting going to camps now because I feel like the national team, like the age is like shifting to like younger and younger, but still there's like some of the like older girls, like not even older, like 27, and I'm like kind of in the middle.
Yeah. Um, so I would assume you have your sights set on next year and the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Man, sit in the final X, like so now you said going into this, I don't know if I believed I could win, but I believed I could medal. Is it like a new level of confidence now knowing that you did it and now you're still capable of doing it and repeating?
I don't know if it's confidence, but it's nice knowing that there's like a formula to like my training and like my conditioning and everything that like works. Like I now know like what I should like expect to do next year and like more. So it's nice to have like that baseline.
Yeah,
I still feel like pretty normal, like going in the room and like rolling around. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm gonna destroy this person because
sure.
I'm a world champ.
Right.
Um, I still feel like I have a lot of improving to do, like in my
Yeah.
wrestling.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I just meant the confidence and the ability
Yeah.
to do it again, which
Yeah.
is awesome. And you're at an Olympic weight, right? So it's not like you have to decide going up or down. So that's fantastic, man. Yeah, I don't think I've said it if I haven't. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
freaking,
you.
you're world champ forever. And they're going to put your picture on that wall in Colorado
Yeah.
Springs and
I know
forever.
they interviewed me afterwards and I was like, I get my picture on the wall. And I was like, that's like the coolest thing ever. And then later I was like, that sounds so dumb, but like it is pretty cool.
No, I don't think it sounds
Like
like dumb at all.
anyone who's seen that wall knows there's like a lot of high level athletes up there. It's cool to be included.
Absolutely. It's a great time for USA Wrestling. Men's freestyle did great. Women's freestyle has done great, and I think it's starting to knock on the doorstep of Japan, and I do think
Mhm.
it's not a matter of if but when we
Yeah.
overtake them. So
Well, if you talk to Terry, the Japanese coach asked to come and train like with our women's team. So apparently that's never happened before. So he was pretty excited.
Really? You think
Yeah.
they're coming to try to learn something? Because they're
Jose, I
they're
think they're
feeling the
going to
heat.
try to learn something. Yeah. Or I don't know. I feel like they're like, oh, like we're coming to like make friends almost. But I think they're probably coming in to scout and see what we're doing.
Yeah. They say keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Not that there's,
Yeah.
well, your enemies on the mat, off the mat. I'm sure
Hmm.
they're very friendly people.
I
but
think it just depends who they send. Like they're probably not going to send like their number one girls over here to roll around.
some would be off on the side, just like
Just just watching,
Yeah,
filming. Yeah.
recording, sending videos back to coaches back there. But
Hmm.
yeah. Oh man, well this has been great, Dom. I really enjoyed chatting with you and hearing your story, and obviously watching this gold medal match. So we're kind of been rolling. She's almost close to an hour now. So I'm gonna we're gonna get things kind of wrapped up here. But I want to give you the last word to say anything you might want to say about anything.
I don't know. I feel like you get a lot of kids messaging me, like asking kind of like what I think the most important thing is to do, like in your training. And honestly, I would say, I think put yourself in a room where you're not the best wrestler and just let yourself grow. And like you'll figure it out. And it's very easy to set like measurable goals in that situation because you might never get a takedown like for the first month. And then you get a takedown on someone who's been teching you. And I think just letting yourself be uncomfortable and trusting that you'll like grow out of it.
Awesome. Well, that's great advice. Great advice. Dom, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm really excited to watch the rest of your career unfold. So, have a great day. Yeah, you bet. And I'll see you next time I'm down in Phoenix. You take care.
Yep.
All right.
too.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye. All right, folks. That's gonna do it. Dom Parrish. What a great journey. Just, you love hearing people, these stories. She wasn't even sure if she wanted to wrestle at the next level, and here she was, had an opportunity down at Sunkist, and has made the most of it. So we're super happy for her and USA Wrestling. And that's going to do it for today's show. So we will see you guys next time. Thanks so much. Goodbye.